Fire Emblem Thracia 776. The second most unique Fire Emblem game right behind the holy grail of the franchise itself. Many people may not have actually played this game due to it being too hard and quote-unquote unfair, but for those who have played it, you'll find that they have a majority of positive reception towards the game. What's the deal with Thracia? Is it really that hard? And what the hell is an S-string? Today, I'll be answering two of those questions, as I tell you why you should play Fire Emblem Thracia 776. Point number 1, its story. Compared to FE4 or really any other Fire Emblem game, it's very, very small scaled. In fact, you may forget this game has links to the genealogy of the Holy War at all, with how contrasting the game's sense of scales are compared to each other, if not for the recurring characters. Smaller scope may not appeal to many, myself included, but world is already built up from genealogy of the Holy War, and so it being a mid-call allows the story to have a more personal and relatable lord, who, in my very humble opinion, is leagues ahead of some of the most popular characters currently in the fandom. The only issue I can find with the story is probably its reliance on having played FE4, but let's be real, if you're considering playing the worst-selling game of a franchise that's still kinda niche, you're probably deep enough in the Fire Emblem brain rot to the point it took all of your energy to not have a mental breakdown at your family's last attempt at a barbecue. But let's be real, the story isn't the reason you play Thracia. The real reason is... Point number 2, its gameplay. This game is hard. Or so you'd think. This game is no awakening lunatic mode to the point it's unfair, and unit viability is probably the most well done in the series so far in my opinion, due to how this game invented skill manuals, which are self-explanatory, and the Crusader scrolls, which not only increase growths, which is pretty rare for an item to do in the franchise, also negate critical hits, keeping the BS you have to deal with to a minimum if you play right. This game's difficulty comes from the mechanics. Fatigue system, which I'm planning to make a whole video around so I won't go too in depth, prevents you from using units if their fatigue stat, which builds up from doing actions such as healing, battling, or stealing, exceeds the HP stat, unless you have an S-string which they can use in order to reset their fatigue stat back to 0. Have fun dealing with this for the rest of the game. With the fatigue system, it's not very possible for you to bulldoze through the game with the same 10 characters like always, and forces party diversity, which adds a nice little bit of micromanagement to the game. Speaking of micromanagement, let's talk about the capture mechanic. You have the ability to capture units and steal from their inventory if your constitution stat exceeds theirs, and is actually a great implementation of proper risk versus reward gameplay into the series, other than just kamikazing yourself with the Devil Axe. The game also introduced the rescue mechanic, which is a mechanic which GBA Fire Emblem is really grateful for, and also added back forced dismounts from Mystery of the Emblem where you can't use a horse if you're indoors, which is a well-deserved nerf to mounted units since the last game in the series was the legendary horse emblem. They also added back trading, improved the sprite work from the already beautiful FE4 to the point even the unused portraits look stunning. They added support bonuses to units, introduced defense chapters, a fog of war, movement level ups, movement stars, the thief staff, playable dark mages, staffs being able to miss, permanent status ailments, and I think you get the point. But let's be real, this game is old, so before getting started I'd recommend watching some of Becca's guides. And also yes, this game is hard. I'd recommend being the games on screen before this one. And then again, if you're desperate for a challenge, Thrasia's got you back. And the most important reason to play Thracia is thin. Enough said.